lost track of the days a week a long time ago.
Yeah. Okay.
So, pilot, this is watch lead.
Go ahead.
So I'm not sure if you heard. I think what we want to do is first just wander around a little bit here, just sort of eyeballing the area and see what we can see. And then once we've explored this area, which hopefully is that's supposed to be sort of a small, like a small high, like very small high, then eventually we're going to start to run a survey pattern.
Okay. Mow the lawn, as it were.
Yeah, and I think we're doing that to the west.
Okay.
That
sounds good with us.
Pilot, I need a little assistance figuring out how to get USBL depth for this.
USBL depth should actually be on your high pack here.
So I'm not sure if Patty Fryer is on the
That's
line yet.
probably
She is at the University of Hawaii. She's an expert in mud volcanoes. And what she was saying earlier on our pre-dive science call was that these clasts that we're seeing, these big rocks, are probably not in situ. They are not intact in this area. More likely, what they are is that they've actually come up with mud volcano flows from deeper within the interior. And what she said is it's really hard to tell what they are when you're looking at them on the seafloor, and it's not until they bring them back and actually do geochemical analysis in the lab that they can find out exactly what it is they are.
Just leave it blank.
Is there a coral?
Got it. Thank you.
Oh.
Okay. Well, while we're waiting on our first ship move there, I'll just start surveying here, as watch lead mentioned. What's that white speck out there, Dan?
I know, I was thinking it kind of looks like a fish.
Yeah?
Maybe a baby one.
Oh, yeah.
Is it our first sponge? Whee.
There's one here.
Fish on Sirius.
Yeah.
I see. I was looking.
Okay, so this is a lizardfish. I'm sure Bruce is going to call in any minute, also known as Bathysaurus mollis. And we saw one of these swimming up the side of the extinct hydrothermal vent chimney dive that we did.
Okay, you can
And that was a really rare
I'll walk in.
sighting because normally you don't see them swimming. Normally you see them doing exactly this, which is resting on the seafloor,
Hold it there. I'm gonna push in.
looking upwards, waiting
just
for
worried
prey
he's
that they
gonna
can sort of
flee.
ambush. And if we get a good
Chris,
shot on him,
Nav.
you'll be able to see a lot of. He has a very
Yeah, I just wanted to
full
inform
mouth
you
of
we
teeth.
are on the bottom.
I think we should absolutely look at his full mouth of teeth.
Can we get lasers on?
Lasers coming on.
Mouth and
Well,
teeth.
this is Bruce. You've said everything pretty much that I could say
I
about
think we should absolutely look at his full mouth of teeth.
Can we get lasers on?
Lasers coming on.
Mouth and
Well,
teeth.
this is Bruce. You've said everything pretty much that I could say about it. You've got the identification and the teeth. And,
Lasers. Sorry, buddy.
and all these have an extension on the pectoral fins, the fins on the side behind the
Kill
head
lasers.
that are probably likely whiskers of a cat that they use for sensing movement around, and so they may rely on things moving past in the water for detecting prey using those long fin rays as much as they do the vision with the glowing, or not glowing, but with highly reflective eye that might detect bioluminescence from prey organisms. Don't know if we can see those long fin rays that I just mentioned, but most of the specimens have those.
He might get a little upset here with me.
He doesn't look scared.
Nah.
Well, this is another ambush
I'm
predator
scared
that
of anything.
sits on the bottom and waits for prey to come by and then lunges forward to capture the prey. It's not an active
Okay, Dan,
hunter
you
that
wanna
cruises around
Give it full zoom. You want to
searching
zoom
for
head
prey
or?
like some of
let's
the
go for
rat
the head.
tails and cutthroat
I'm
eels
going to
are.
zoom in.
Okay.
Oh, it's on the move. Oh, you can
Holding.
see its teeth now.
Yep.
So for those of you who are following along, you may have seen the pilots put on the lasers. So there were two red dots that were flashed briefly on the fish. And what we were doing was actually
Coming.
using that to measure the
Let me know if
fish.
you don't
Those
hold it
two
to
lasers
tilt,
are
man.
always 10 centimeters
Going for a
apart.
good video.
And so that fish was like at least 40 centimeters long, if not
Yeah.
50.
Great for
Yeah.
now.
Okay.
I mean, I think that's a pretty characteristic size of these fish.
Excellent.
But I love the eyes look like little gold sequins.
Is that reflectivity
Zooming in.
thing? No,
Yeah,
I
when
guess
you're
not.
clear
No,
here,
I don't
I'll
think so.
rotate
No,
to
that's
the
different.
head here.
Yep, that's full zoom.
Copy.
See what you can do.
And look at all those teeth.
They do look like little gold sequins. You're totally right. Yeah, that's a lot of teeth.
Nice shot. Should do it.
Okay.
Zooming
Do you
out.
wanna?
Can do a
So
full
you
body
can see
shot.
that this fish is very pale. It's a species that's lost
Here.
most of its pigment except
Oh,
around
sorry.
the gill
I was gonna
cavity,
turn it a
and
little.
also, if you can look at the underside, the gut, the inside of the gut, the lining
Well,
of
we
the
have
gut
this in framing.
is more darkly
We'll do
pigmented.
that.
Those
That's what we're gonna
great
do.
dark grayish areas
Yeah, go
are
ahead
all
and put the
probably
lowers
to
out.
conceal
Actually, you
any
can put them all up.
bioluminescence that the
Okay.
prey items
Or
have, so
stand
that
by
the
one
fish
actually
doesn't
to see
become
video.
visible because of the
We don't want
glow
to
of
change the
the
lighting
things
on
that it's
him
eating.
while he's doing good video.
Copy.
Very cool.
No, that should be fine.
Check with him.
Andy,
Okay.
you can go ahead.
All right.
And I think this is good, Chris.
Copy.
Zoom out. Full wide.
Full wide.
Yeah.
Good. I'm glad we got that guy before we.
I know that there was what looked like a twig coral below that rock outcropping where you first landed. It was, I don't know, the coral biologist might have been interested in looking at that. We may have already gone past that area, though.
I think we'll probably end up back in that area. But,
But we can see a stalk sponge.
yeah, do you want to
Uh,
snap on that?
If we could just
Good.
do a snap zoom
What,
quickly.
swing arms would
Is
you
that
like?
it's the same rock?
Oh,
So
you
we're
can put 'em
heading
all
back
out.
to our rock.
Copy that.
Dan, is that okay?
Is it a s
It says
Yeah.
sponge.
Swing
People are
arms out.
saying
Yeah,
sponge
and when you
instead
bring
of.
the
It
uppers
does
out,
look like a
you
stalk
can
sponge, but
pull
then
them all the
also
way back
the shape of
as
the
much as you can.
top.
So it'll
top
even
of
out
it
the
is a
lighting.
bit strange.
Come on in on this, Dan.
Zoom in. Holding here.
Copy.
It looks like a mushroom.
Beautiful. Chris, I'm not sure if you know what type of sponge this is. I can't quite see whether the stalk
going if
is
you got it.
fibrous or not.
Zoom in.
Yeah, or Shirley. We actually have two
Um,
sponge experts with us
Holding here.
There,
on
yeah.
this expedition, which is great because they tell us what it is we're supposed to be looking at.
Maybe a Caulophacus? Caulophacus or Hyalinema, those are my two guesses. Yeah. So Chris is confirming it. It looks like a Caulophacus sponge, but he isn't sure which subgenus.
If you
And
got more, Dan, you
we can
can,
identify
zoom
the
in.
difference between those two because
in.
one of the stalks is a lot more
That's full.
fibrous than the other. Chris, feel free to elaborate on that whenever you want, if you want to.
Eva, Shirley, what's the sort of fuzzy stuff on the top of that sponge?
Is that Patty?
I think so. I mean, that just looks like flock detrital matter, which has been caught up on the sponge. You can see some of the spicules extending off it. I could be wrong, but that's what my interpretation of it is.
Okay, zooming
Serious
out.
set swimming to your left there. Is that lizardfish?
So, Patty, was that you on the line?
I believe so.
Coming full wide.
Copy. Full wide. Stuff
Yes,
up
it
from
was.
here.
Oh, great. So we landed about 10 minutes ago at the most.
Just want to look this way,
And
Dan. I see a
we're
fish.
just sort of,
Sure.
surveying
Serious
the
cam.
area we
Could be
landed
that
on.
Lizardfish, I guess.
And we saw a couple of
There's the,
isolated rocks when we first landed. And we've investigated a fish and a sponge.
Yeah.
And then we will get underway once we decide where we want to go.
Huh.
It looks like we're kicking up a lot of sediment today.
Yeah, it's silty.
And I think that's just because we haven't really landed in very sedimented areas, whereas this,
You could look around. Oh, there he
whereas
is.
where we've landed here is,
Yeah,
oh,
it's
look,
that
the
lizardfish.
Bathysaurus is
Is that the
swimming.
same
Could,
fish?
Yeah.
Reorient mini zoos.
And there's a great shot of him in
Maybe
front of D2 on the Sirius
yeah.
camera.
Go ahead. Go ahead, co-pilot. I don't know if we want to get another zoom or not, Dan. It looks like the same subject.
Yeah, we'll do a quick zoom.
Go ahead.
So now's a good time to note that we actually have
Holding here.
3 streams feeding from the ship to the shore. The stream 1 is our main camera here on the ROV. Stream 2 is the view down from the camera sled
here.
that is looking down on the ROV. It's always great for sort of broader context shots, and sometimes it's just fun to look at. And stream 3 is a quad view. It has things
Sorry,
like
that's fine.
our bathymetry, where it shows where the ship
I'll
is, where the
hold
ROV
here for a
is
second.
Yeah,
compared
that's
to
fine.
where we are on the seafloor.
That was
It often, and it is
for
right now, showing sonar, so we
vertical
can see
command.
if there are any things that are out in front of us that have a particularly hard return. And there are some other things that I can't really see over there. Oh, I think
bring
one of
your
them is the
lights up.
ROV pilot or co-pilot that you're looking at. So you can look at some of
No,
the
you're okay.
information related to the ROV.
All right. I think that's great.
Okay.
Zooming out.
All right, are we done with this fish?
Full wide.
All right.
That was in
You
a nice
sound-
way.
you sound
that was not
very
in a
done
nice
with
That
this.
was in a nice way. Are we done with this fish?
Deb is done with this fish.
Oh, I like this fish. It was very cool.
She's
Come
like,
on,
let's find a rock
We
to
are
look
wide.
at.
I was thinking that, yes.
All right. So we're out there. If we want to get our first westward move in, I think that'd be fine. Unless you already got it.
So what? Well, so watch later. Should we start doing a north-south
As soon as they're ready.
transect and then?
Let me ask Patty whether she wants to go back to visit the rocks that we landed on before we start moving.
Okay.
But
Go ahead.
if not, I think we will. So hold on 1 second.
I'm way out there. Come back.
So I don't think we need to.
Okay.
I think what would be best would be to explore around this area as we had discussed in the pre-dive.
So that's sort of what we've been doing right now. We just been sort of scanning left and right around the area that we landed in. And so the question is, Patty, do we want to start the ship moving so that we start our survey off to the west?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Do that.
All right.
Okay. So should we just do one long slow move west?
I think that would be good.
Okay.
So, Patty, could you first, of course, introduce yourself, tell us who you are, and then tell us a little bit about the objectives of this dive and what we are planning to do.
Sure. This is
Thanks.
Patty Fryer. I'm a professor of marine geology at the University of Hawaii, Manoa. That's on the island of Oahu.
You guys need to have
And
lights on.
I have been studying
You
the
can go.
Mariana region for about 40 years now. And most of my interests have focused recently on the area between the deep Mariana Trench, where the Pacific Plate is being subducted beneath the Mariana region, and the island
So my
arc
plan's to
itself. So,
give it one long slow move.
that is
0.1
the area
knots.
between the trench and
And
westward
hopefully that
toward
gives you enough
where
time
the
to
volcanic
zigzag
islands
back and
are.
forth.
Sure.
And the reason I'm interested in
And
that
I'll
is
just
because
give my
as the
waypoint at the end.
Pacific
Obviously, we
Plate
can only stop, but
descends
we're deep enough. It's
deeper
going to take a
into
while to
the
get going
earth,
and
it
a while to stop.
basically gets
Sure.
distilled.
Okay.
That sounds
Fluids
good.
get squeezed out of the sediments
Probably come
as
down
the
a
plate
little bit.
descends, and then
Rich nav.
eventually
It's pretty
the
bad.
actual minerals within the plate begin to yield up their water.
Yeah, I'd like to
too,
do a
if
move,
they've been
please.
altered.
The long one.
Those fluids
380
rise
meters,
up
bearing
into the
263,
overlying mantle
0.1
and crust
knots.
of the
Coming in on this time.
Mariana
Standing by.
edge of the Mariana
Zooming in.
plate and rise through the faults in
Hold
that
it.
plate and
That's right.
bring with them
Going,
ground
that's
up fractured
Zoom
rock from along
Thank
fault
you.
traces. And we're
Holding
looking
it.
at a lovely sponge and anemones. And I'm going to let Diva talk about that, then I'll be back.
Thank you, Patty. I actually would let Diva talk about it too, but she walked out a moment before. So I'm fairly sure we're looking at a sponge. And is this a relicanthus? Look at me, relicanthus. Got it right.
I mean, I don't even need to be in here. So this is another one of those caulificus sponges, I think, with a relicanthus. So we've seen quite a couple of these on this expedition so far. You would think, just looking at it superficially, that it's an anemone. But about 2 years ago, it was made into its own order in Nigeria. So it's actually quite different from anemones. And it has these incredibly long tentacles. I'm not sure if we can zoom out a bit. We can't even see the ends of the tentacles in that.
Hold here.
Yeah, still can't see the ends of the tentacles in this
wow.
shot. You know,
Boy, they are really long.
So, and we've seen tentacles that are up to, I think, 8 feet long in the East
Really?
Pacific. Yeah, they're still going
The
off
lasers.
shot. Still going off shot.
I'll zoom out.
We
a
haven't
touch
even
more.
seen the end of them yet in that
Zoom
shot.
out. Hold here.
I can
They
down
get very
there
thin
then.
towards the end.
Right.
But I mean, we can say easily those tentacles are, I don't know, 70 centimeters long, 80 centimeters long.
Yeah, so we have the lasers on right now so that we can look and try to figure out the scale.
Yeah. Yeah, so maybe like meter-long tentacles we're looking at with that individual. So
Wow.
they're just really incredible animals.
Do we want to turn the lasers off for a better picture?
Yeah, sure. I was just trying to gauge the size.
Thank you.
So, Diva, have you ever seen one of these that was actually attached to another animal? I've only seen Relicanthus on rocks.
So the one that I was referring to in the Clarion Clipson zone in the Eastern Pacific, that was attached to a dead sponge stalk, not a live sponge stalk. And then other ones I've seen have just been attached to rocks around hydrothermal, in the peripheral areas of hydrothermal vents. So I do think that it is known that they use sponge stalks, but I've just never seen one attached to a live sponge.
It
Is that
does.
interesting, Chris?
Try to catch
Super
the end of these.
interesting.
I don't know. Can't quite tell where
I have
they
to
end.
say, it does look a little bit big
I can
to
see
be
him
hanging
going off
out on
screen
this
right now.
particular sponge.
Right.
I think they're friends. Just to anthropomorphize
clear
size
video.
anything,
We've talked a lot on these
want
dives
more of
actually
this?
in the past
Wanna zoom out a
about the
bit?
tendency to anthropomorphize the animals that we're seeing.
You still got the whole
And
I
unfortunately
can't
we
see
do
now.
it, but
Can't see him, but I'll
it
zoom out.
happens.
copy.
I mean, they're definitely.
Sorry, Patty, what were you going to say?
Full wide.
Why am I
I was
bothering
just
around
going to
so
say,
much?
sure looks
Okay.
like there's
Possibly, yeah.
a significant current. I don't know how strong it is, but that's interesting.
Yep, we will ask our pilots and navigators about the current when we have a moment.
And so this shot that we're looking at right now is actually what most of the deep sea, I think, looks like, especially in abyssal areas. So between
Have
about
a sense what the current is, Dan?
3,000 and 5,000 meters,
Oh,
these sort of
Chris, looking over there.
characteristic flat abyssal plains that are heavily
pretty quiet.
sedimented. There are
No,
a
there's
few
definitely a current.
larger,
Um,
rocks in
go off.
between, but
Stick here.
this is
It's not
mostly
crazy
what
or
the deep
anything.
sea looks like. And this is where that sort of misconception that the deep sea is this sort of desert-like environment devoid of life has
Taking
come
you
from.
lateral
Because
to
looking at
starboard,
this
is that-
superficially,
Yeah,
you can't
and
really.
turning
Doesn't look like there's much, but when in
I'd say
reality,
probably
if you were to look closer, there are lots of
to
animals
the
living
north
in
or
the
something like
sediment.
that,
You can see
judging by
this
the
feeding
tether.
track
Nothing
just
really
coming into view,
too
which is
bad
probably from a
at all,
sea urchin or echinoid. And yeah, lots of animals live in the sediment, small animals live on the sediment, and then stalked animals and so on that we see every now and again. So even though it may look desert-like, it most certainly is not.
I'm going to lower that starboard swing arm just a tad.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm gonna totally be picking on Patty all day today. I'm gonna make her talk to tell us all about this because she is one of the world experts in mud volcanoes. Except there's Echiurans. Those.
So, okay,
Okay,
sorry,
so-
Patty, I'm just going to jump in quickly. So just moving off screen on the left, we can see very faintly some feeding tracks of animals called Echiurans. And they're extremely characteristic feeding tracks in that they have a central hole and then each track sort of spins out from that hole. So it's basically like the spokes of a bike.
Can we zoom in
bicycle
on
wheel.
this? Can you? I really am not entirely clear
Pilot,
on
do you
what
see
we're
what I'm
looking at.
referring to?
I think so.
I can do a partial zoom.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
Dead
please.
ahead here?
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
so all of these.
Oh, look at that. Okay.
So they basically look like the spokes of a bicycle wheel.
All right, now I'm with
and
you.
You hardly ever see the animal. The animal lives deep in the sediment, and it just every now and again extends its feeding appendage and sort of sloughs through the sediment looking for food, pulling back in, and it sort of uses all available area around its hole. And so you end up with these spoke-like characteristic features. Sorry, you can go ahead now, Patty.
Okay, but yes, we do see these a lot in the sedimented flanks of the seamount. The type of seamount that we're examining today is produced by the eruption of that
Yeah,
fluid I was
understand.
talking about,
Okay, zooming
You
in.
are.
all
Yeah.
mixed with ground
Done
up
with it as well.
rock from the edges of faults. When faults move, they tend to grind up the material at the face of the fault. And as fluid is released from the deep downgoing
Just do a snap here while we're
layer
waiting.
of
Sure.
Pacific plate,
Zooming in.
that fluid rises up, has to rise up through
Just hold there.
Holding.
areas of weakness, and those are the face faults. So it mobilizes that
Okay.
material
Come wide.
because it's less dense than the surrounding material and pushes it up to the surface
Full wide.
as a mud flow.
Disease.
But the curious thing about these mud volcanoes is that they are the largest ones on our planet. They can reach diameters of 50 kilometers, that's 50,000 meters, and they can be 2,000 meters tall. So the one that we are looking at right now is in diameter about the same diameter as the island that I'm sitting on. So they are enormous, and they have been operating for about 50 million years, ever since the Pacific Plate first started to subduct beneath the edge of the Mariana region. So these things are episodically active. They burp out these mud flows of serpentine mush, and that's the hydrated mantle rock material. So when the peridotite or mantle rock beneath the surface of the crust of the Earth in this part of the world reacts with fluids, it turns into an entirely different mineral that has water in its
Darks.
Pilot, if you have a chance to zoom in on stuff as we go by, that would be great.
mineral serpentine is often known
Zoom
as
stuff.
asbestos by folks.
Stuff.
Actually, it's not as dangerous as people suggest it is. And this stuff just bursts out and forms these enormous volcanic edifices made of mud. These are the only ones we know that are active anywhere on the Earth. That's it.
That is so cool, Patty. I'm just so excited about today's dive. I think we're all hoping for activity, but even if we don't see that, I think we'll still have a great dive.
If we're able to stop, I don't know if we're moving really fast, but those rocks that we just saw might be a good first collection.
Let me ask. Pilot, would it be
Come look at
possible
me.
to stop at those rocks?
Yeah. Sure.
All right. Yep, it looks like we're going to, after a day without geology samples yesterday, we are going to stop and take a rock. Although we geologists
How
cannot
far is that
complain
ship
because we've
move?
taken a lot of rocks so
380
far.
meters.
So for those of you who are following
I
along at
think you
home,
can-
and even for our shore-based
You think
science
I can
team, I
get
think
that?
you guys know this part already.
Yeah, you're way out
We
ahead of
try
me.
to take
Yeah,
no
it's
more
only
than 2
0.1
rocks
knots.
and 2 biology samples
Oh,
per
yeah.
day. We want to
So-
be able to characterize the region.
Yeah, we
For the
wanna-
biology samples, we want to look for novel species, things that we don't know were there, range extensions,
I'm
areas that
going-
things we know are there, but
Yeah,
they didn't
that's
know they were in these areas.
Roughly west, but
Or even the dominant species, if there's one
But you should be able
overwhelming
to do that.
Yeah, I think so.
species at an area. For the rocks, we try to we want to be able to characterize the site. So we're going to be looking for things like, could we find an age progression, or what is the geochemical composition of the area?
Okay. Deb, do any of these?
They all look awesome. Patty, any
All of them.
particular
They're
ones?
Probably. Yeah, I was just going to say they're probably covered with manganese, so maybe kind of an angular one could probably be better.
Okay, so the ones that are probably up in the top center right now might be better than the ones that we're hovering over at the moment.
copy.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think so.
I at least can see faces on some of those.
Never sample a rock with a face.
Okay, you get me spun up.
Spun up.
Copy.
And biologists, while we're waiting to set up and look for a rock, was there anything you wanted to zoom on here before we leave? I'm not sure we're in the right area, but I wanted
Can you
to check.
bring the port rock box in?
Actually, this is Patty, and I would suggest that we take a look at those little tumbleweed things that are clustered up behind
Go
some
ahead
of the
and get
larger
Maze's
rocks
on
on
the,
the right.
actually,
They look
bring it up
exactly like some of the things we
As
saw
long as you have eyes
several
on the,
dives ago
How far in do you want it?
elsewhere.
That's good right there.
Okay.
You just keep eyes
Patty,
on Sirius.
That is a great spot because we did see these sort of round tumbleweed kind of things.
Spot.
And we
Good to
will,
go?
once we get the rock, we'll zoom in on those. We saw these on an earlier dive, and we didn't know what they were. We took some very good imagery of them. We found that they had been discussed in papers before in previous dives in the Marianas, but there was a really lively debate about whether they were a single-cell protist, I believe, or whether they were a sponge, or if they were something else entirely. And I don't think that got totally resolved.
No, so we sent pictures to foraminifera experts because some people suggested they were gromids.
Thinking about it.
Others suggested they were xenophyophores.
Watch these.
Some people.
Pilot.
Hang on, sorry.
Sorry
Yes,
to interrupt.
it's okay. Thank you.
Is the one that I just touched too big, you think? Or the one to the left
Are
okay?
you really asking us if you think that there are ever rocks that are too big to bring back?
I am indeed.
As a biologist, I think that one might be a little too big.
It does look kind of big. Patty, what about the one to the left of that?
With a laser on it?
Yeah, with the laser on it. Does that one look good?
The one that the lasers is on right now, yeah, the one I think that you're going for would be.
That one?
Well, no, I really wanted to go to the giant one to the side, but I think we're going to pick this one up instead.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sure.
All right, continue on with your
Yeah,
story.
It may look as if they're. Oh, well, let me just say it may look as if these are not easily movable, but the overall density of peridotite is greater than basalt, so I think that they're in sediment. They're not in place, so probably the one that the laser is on, I guess you're opening box.
Come down on me.
One the
You
laser is
take
on
it.
is probably gettable.
Okay.
The rest of the story is that the other thing we're looking for on this dive is the potential for finding an active seep of those fluids
no,
I was
just leave
talking
it.
about earlier.
Okay.
Usually where we have
tilt back
active
up.
seeps, we have structures that we call chimneys that are different from the hydrothermal chimneys you see at black smoker areas on mid-ocean ridges. But because the fluids are coming out more slowly, they form carbonate chimneys. In other words, calcite or aragonite, calcium carbonate minerals form during precipitation of those minerals, probably microbially mediated. In other words, microbes are helping the precipitation process because fluids coming out of the seafloor are enriched in carbonate,
Very loose.
and that rock looks pretty crusty. But that's okay.
All right, hold on, Patty. Let's see if we can find another
Try
rock
one
to
just
pick
to
up.
the right of that. Yeah, right on your right under. Let's. Go ahead, Bridge.
All right, we know these rocks want to come home
that
with
would
us
be
today.
correct. We're maybe
They
a
just
quarter
are
of the
being a
way
little
through
obstinate.
it at the most. Yes, please. Yeah, no, the we've got so much cable out that things are very slow to respond, and we're only going 1/10 of a knot, so we're moving very slowly. And thanks for checking in.
Oops.
Well, these don't seem very loose.
So these all,
Just cemented in.
you're having a hard time getting these guys off the seafloor?
I'm just touching them with the arm, and they're not budging.
Deb, maybe the one on the far right, the smaller one that looks like it's kind of alone out there.
The one that's so back beyond the big rock to the right? I'm not sure. Can you reach
That's
that?
right, yeah.
Probably.
Actually,
Okay.
I think any of these would be okay. What I'm seeing in the one that the manganese broke off of is exactly what I see in serpentinized peridotite rocks. So
They're not very
I
loose.
suspect these are all the same.
10.
Did you see that, Washley?
No, I'm sorry. I was looking for my pen, which has fallen to the floor. Please try that again.
Try giving it another nudge. Yeah.
Huh. Well, Patty, these rocks do not want to appear to come with us today.
Well, I'm sure we'll find one that's ready.
If we touch them all, eventually we'll find one.
That one's too
Maybe.
big. Not the one in front of it.
How are we doing on Sirius?
We're golden.
I think we're doing okay.
You have more leash now.
Copy.
Yeah, I think so.
Are you seeing any budging video?
No, not on that rock.
Wow. I have to say I'm a little surprised. I thought these
I
rocks would be
like-
much, much easier to move.
These guys out here.
If they're sitting in serpentine mud, and the mud is old, it may have
Oh, it's
dried
loose
out
now.
to some extent. There we go. Okay. Looks good.
Can we come partial on Mini Zeus out there? I don't know where that guy went.
Current
zoom
is
in.
from south to north,
Yeah, good call. Hold there.
Holding.
maybe northwest.
Where's that loose one that I got, Dan?
I think it's in the cloud there.
It's in the cloud.
It's not that dark one in the back, is it?
That could be the darky.
Because it has that lighter.
You think?
Which is the
Oh,
one
yeah,
you
you're right.
moved?
Oh,
That is.
Or it's that one right by your fingertips. Could be. I'm not sure.
This guy.
Yeah.
Oh man, we're at the limit here.
Oh, great.
You do have more tether, so you can hop
It would
up.
be awesome if we could bring up a few of those balls with our rock. I'm just suggesting it.
I think they're too loose, Deb.
Yeah, I think so too. But they are just so interesting looking, and we had such great discussion about them.
You center up, Mini Zeus. Let's see which one it was here.
I'm wondering if the jaws of the manip were a little bit lower on the one to the right of the one you're touching now.
It's not
If
that
it might be possible
It's that one you
to
can't see in the main
dislodge it
camera. It's behind the big
with a
rock.
bit of a wiggle.
So it's just
Yeah, that's got the lighter spot on it. Yeah. Might be that one. Possible.
Yeah.
there you go.
All right, so the one that you can't really see in the main camera right now looked like it just moved.
Right? I think that's the top of the one that got broken off.
Just out of reach, looks like.
So close, but yet so far.
Gosh.
All right, so we picked up a rock. Can we do some close-ups on it to make sure that it's okay for our scientists?
You sure can. You want to tilt up on main
Oh, that
Zeus?
looks beautiful. Thank you, pilot.
That was easy, Patty.
Thank you.
All right, so we're going to do a couple of zooms
gonna
just to
zoom
make
out
sure
a
that we
bit
know what
on
this
Mini
rock
Zeus
looks
as
like.
Yeah, go ahead. Thank you.
Hold it partial, and I'll zoom in on Zeus.
Copy. See if we can get some rotisserie
Holding
going
here.
here.
Well, I don't know about you, but it looks like a rock to me. Diva's refusing to answer me today.
Trying to tilt it for you.
All right, Diva, we want to see what your prowess is. What is that thing hanging off of the end of it?
Yeah. You want a zoom thing hanging off the end of it?
Zooming thing.
Is this a test?
It is a
Hold
test. Oh, that's cool. What is that?
Is that the best zoom we can get?
I think you
that-
should check the event
on that
log.
half
They
a
might be giving you
centimeter.
hints.
That's
So
full
without
zoom.
looking at the event log, I'm going to guess Spongohydroid.
I think she looked at the event log.
No, I swear to God, before I looked at the event log, I guessed that.
And that's exactly what they are saying too, except somebody might be saying crinoid.
Ooh, that's not a bad shout either, actually. It does look like it's got little curled tentacle.
Harder to see now.
Oh.
Where's it going?
Maybe it is a young crinoid.
Trying to help.
Okay, so 3 possibilities. I'll let you know when I get it in my hands on
It's
deck.
tiny.
All right.
All right.
No,
Come on,
I'm
zoom it
thinking
out.
not crinoid. Hydroid or sponge.
I think we should probably just get it into the box so that we can collect it.
Full wide.
But as Tara just said in the event log, it's biology. And yes, you're
Full
right.
analysis.
So let's just go with that.
Okay, I think maybe a B minus is in order.
Ouch!
Oh my God, I don't think I've ever gotten a B minus in my entire life.
Really?
Roland is
No,
going to say
physics, yeah,
sponge.
Roland goes with sponge. We've got maybe we should start a pool on the ship. What is it? Chocolate can be
Small.
the winning thing.
But the sponge person surely doesn't think it's a sponge.
All right. So
It
we
says it
can you
was
press
very
collect?
small.
Is it
Go-
in?
Yeah,
go
it's
for it
already
on
in
that.
the.
No, it's.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, I was looking at this one.
yeah,
Sorry.
it's definitely already in.
Port forward.
Port forward.
Thank
All
you.
right, so we have collected our
It's
first
kinda nice
of 2
to mix it
rocks.
for a,
It is in the
Auto
port forward
close.
rock box.
Copy that.
And
I'm going to close your drawer.
um,
copy.
Nav, do we have to move, or are we okay for 2 more minutes here?
No, I think we're okay.
Okay, next one.
I need a collection number.
That would be dive 13
Underscore.
specimen underscore spec 01 geo.
Pilot, I thought I saw a biological underneath
Got
your
it, thank you.
starboard toe. When you first sat down.
And could we just zoom in on those little balls again?
Copy.
Little.
The little
Zooming.
sediment balls that
I'll
are off
give you the
to
cameras
the
back.
right, and I think they might be in the center as well.
Arm is dead.
Hydraulics coming down.
Okay.
Yeah, we can't really go any farther south, but we're not in any rush to get out of here, I don't think.
Okay,
There's not
Dan,
much farther south.
Let's try.
Yeah, there's some in center frame right now.
Okay.
Zoom in.
Yeah, go ahead.
Zooming in. Holding.
So I wanted to zoom in on these because this is exactly what Patty and Diva were talking about earlier. These round balls that we saw on these actually look a little
Oh,
crustier
sorry.
than the other round balls that we saw.
It's full zoom.
Round balls that we saw on an earlier dive.
Yeah, I don't think these look like what we were looking at before. The other ones had like
Structure.
structure
Like they look
in
like
them.
mesh.
Exactly. Yeah.
You can bring up.
But there were
Siri.
These
some
might
other-
just be a more broken down or
Thanks.
degraded
Yeah.
stage of them.
And this was the conversation we were having was, is this a sponge? Is this a protist? What is this? And we still don't know, actually, is really the answer.
Okay, zoom out.
Patty
Got
says that the other ones look like corn cob that have been chewed on, and actually she's totally,
Cool.
totally right, because they look like a little rectangular mesh-like thing. All right, so I think we are now going to start our survey pattern. Is that correct, pilots?
Sure.
Or is there anything else we need to look at? I don't think so. Okay. All right, so scientists on the telecon line, feel free to jump in whenever you'd like to tell us about something interesting going by.
I think you could probably just leave lasers on for now.
Hey, Chris, I'm not sure I'm getting tracking on Sirius, but I don't know how to check it.
If you bring up the USBL nav computer over on the sonar computer, you should be able to see. double scroll lock. And what do we got here, Dan?
Let's check it out. Zooming in.
Copy.
It's awfully bright.
Okay, I'm seeing ship and ROV. I'm not seeing Sirius at all.
I see
That
a
looks
rock.
like a rock.
Yeah, I see a rock as well.
Oh, yeah, you got.
I think I
Copy
get an
rock.
A+ for that one.
Yeah.
I think one is.
Chris, I think
Come
you
on.
really hurt
Oh,
Diva's
yeah.
feelings
No.
when you gave her a B minus.
Sled.
I think she's been fretting about this for like several minutes now. She's a little worried.
Yeah, Copilot, you want to?
Paranoid.
Okay, well, I'll up her grade if she
No,
gets
then
one right.
that's no.
Maybe
That's
Diva could change places for a
it's
minute.
just like you're giving me one just for, you know, the
He
heck of
didn't,
it.
Fine.
he didn't hear what he was going to say. Why was he going to up your grade? Maybe there's another assignment you have to do.
Is there an animal on the left at the end of that? Can you pan left?
Pilot, can we pan
It
left?
looks
Pan
like
left.
an animal trail on the seafloor, and there's
Yeah, I
some
know.
white thing at the end.
Oh, yeah, good spot. Okay, so can we zoom in on this, what is probably a echinoid? So what
yellow.
the term which we use to describe animal tracks on the seafloor is known as Lebensspuren. And here on this particular sedimented or all sedimented sort of plain-like environments, you tend to see a lot of Lebensspuren, and you can actually identify sometimes which animals have been through the
Stand by,
area
Dan.
by their
Looks
tracks,
like
just as you would on
we're gonna
land
come
if you were tracking, for instance, you know, big cats or so on. Okay, so maybe this is a holothurian. What is this? It's really long, whatever it is.
Okay, Dan, you want to start to come in?
Zooming in.
So what is
Hold it.
it? That doesn't look like a holothurian, is it?
That's bizarre. You can see it. Can I zoom in a bit more, Chris?
It's not one of those worms you were talking
Yeah,
about.
maybe.
Come on in.
Actually, could you
So I think this
Yeah.
is an
Yeah.
Echuran.
Come on.
zoom in out? It's got
I
like
was
a
just
pin.
saying earlier that
Patty,
you never
great
see them.
spot on that one.
I think we're going to lose the tail when I sit down, but we'll give it a shot. Maybe I'll stand by, Dan.
Scott France is saying it might be the
Oh, the Entroneus?
Yes,
Yeah,
Entroneus.
those were the two things I was torn between. Okay, so Scott's saying acorn worm and Entroneus rather than spoonworm Echuran.
There we go. That's a little better.
Yeah. Can we kill the lasers and?
Got the lasers, Copilot?
Yeah, we have
You
tracking.
know, I've never seen one of these things on
Because
any
the
of the dives
depth interrogation rate.
here.
It's weird
You're
looking.
long.
Can we have a better zoom,
Zoom
please,
in.
video?
We're
Yep.
working on it.
Zooming in. And Jim, can you kill lasers when you have a chance?
Got it.
Thank you. Thanks.
Go ahead.
All right, so we're getting up close and personal with a deep sea creature that we're not
Holding
entirely
here.
sure what it is.
Okay, yeah, so no, Scott's totally
Okay,
right.
I-
You can
I thought
see
it wasn't
the
updating
front
at
of the
all.
animal has that sort of flayed
Just that it goes way off from
lip
where it should
bit.
be.
And so this is definitely an Entroneus, otherwise known as an acorn worm. And we saw one of these on
Okay.
one of our earlier dives when it made that
Holding.
very spiraled
Whatever. you're
poo
comfortable
track, basically.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, they leave spiraled Lebensspuren, and so they make one of the most characteristic tracks in the deep sea. But here, this one isn't doing that, which is very interesting. And this
Zoom out a
one's.
bit. And hold here.
Copy.
This one is plowing.
Yeah, I agree, Patty.
So he's got like that transparent
I
gelatinous.
actually think we may have only zoomed in on
Yeah,
this
around him.
just so we
Back,
could
yeah.
talk
Yeah.
about
Do you
poop
wanna-
on the
Here, you
seafloor
wanna
again.
go on
go
up
right.
to
I
the
think
right.
this has
Yeah.
been
Yeah.
a constant
right.
in all of our dive conversations.
Poo is an important part of life on the deep sea floor. It's a huge source of food to many animals.
Okay.
And yeah, you can see him pooing right there.
It's full zoom.
So Brian's just commenting on how much mucus there is
wow.
around this animal, and that is extremely true.
Oh my God.
So
Yeah,
they've got
that's kinda gross.
on the front of it you have the acorn-like proboscis, and then
Let's get some poo
with
in
the
the shot
collar,
here.
and then you've got the long sort of trunk, which is what we're looking at now, as well as what is clearly its anus, where you can see poo happening.
I enjoyed the let's try to get some poo in the shot.
Mucus and poo.
Mucus and poo.
We're at full zoom.
Well, this dive is off to a really exciting
Let me
start.
get
Not
Head
only
again?
did we already collect a rock,
Eva.
Sure.
but we've seen goo.
Yeah, go ahead, Patty.
Or I'm going to zoom out and get a
I
full
was just asking, it looks like there's
here, hold
a
that.
transparent, gelatinous, some sort of a sleeve around this animal that has some sand grains on it. Is that right?
Yeah, so that's what we were just commenting on, how thick this this sort of mucus area around the animal is. And these animals are known to secrete mucus. I just didn't ever realize that there was that much, I guess.
Okay, zooming out,
Copy.
holding there.
Of course I'm going to mention that. Thanks, Scott, for mentioning that exciting biological fact.
Oh,
So the
you can see
wings,
some
which
of
we
the-
can
some more of the
see
mucus
in this
bands to the
animal at the
right.
front
Yeah.
You wanna go in on
of
that?
of the image, are actually the genital folds, and those are where gonads are
Keep going.
housed. So the reproductive organs, basically.
So is this moving?
And my geologist
very
just
slowly, or
left
is
to
it
the
just
room
stopped?
because she's so
Full zoom.
disgusted.
That
She's not
is
into
cool.
genital folds and poo. Yeah, so you can see there's actually mucus left all around what this animal has just defecated.
Okay, when you're clear with mucus and poo, Dan, you can come wide.
Stay here all day. Zooming out.
So what these animals do is they swallow sand and mud, which you can kind of see happening here.
Nice.
And that sand and mud contains organic matter and microorganisms. And then they basically process it through their body,
That's
take
cool. I've
what
never
they
seen a creature
need,
like that.
and then
No,
poo out the
neither.
rest of it. And that's just what characteristically
mucus.
deposit feeders do.
Definitely alien. Looking.
Alien looking, yes.
Some returns out there or no? I think it's you. Can you blow this out a little bit?
That was such a
Bring it
great
down
way
so
to
it's,
start to start off the biology on this dive. I've never seen one just sort of hanging about on the seafloor, not spiraled.
So Diva, was that moving just extremely slowly, or was that a
Yes,
stop?
I mean they're not
Copy.
racing along the seafloor.
Is that a star down there? Oh, I just didn't know if it.
No, yeah. Very alive. So this might just be Lebensborn from a star, or it might actually be buried there. Can we do a snap zoom quickly?
Sure, go ahead, Dan.
So this is why, people have this misconception again that the sedimented abyssal plains are boring, but they're really not. You just need to have a closer look. Can you tell I work there? Where I've worked there for the last 3 years. So this, I don't think there is actually a sea star here, but you can see this
just an
perfect little
impression?
track, that's left.
I'm going to zoom in on the center.
Copy.
There's something there. Little guy.
He shrunk.
I don't think he made that track though.
No, he did.
Oh my God, that's
it.
totally what caused that. Obviously.
Lindsay's steroids.
He shrunk.
I think we need to see that
Come
again.
on.
Zooming out.
Yeah, there's a little baby in the middle there that is actually moving across the seafloor.
Let's wait till he gets dead center.
Yeah.
Is this like wearing a muscle suit?
That is kind of funny. I don't
Come on
think
in, man.
we expected
Zoom in.
to see a tiny sea star living in the impression of the big sea
Holding.
star. That's really funny.
Some sort of tactic.
Zooming.
He made that.
Holding. It's moving around.
So I'm not even actually convinced that is a sea star. I think it's an ophiuroid.
Oh. It's on the move.
And it has something. Is that the
Same
best zoom we can
orientation,
get?
too.
Yeah, it's great.
Okay, well,
Zooming
it
in.
definitely has
Okay.
something on its. Oh,
Holding.
no, it wasn't.
Oh,
Okay,
there we go.
so that's actually just the way its disc is. We saw some of these in the Clarion-Clipperton zone, so much of the eastern side,
all you got
basically,
there?
of the
I
Pacific.
got a little more, I think.
And
No, I don't.
I'd never seen that before until like last year, I think.
Small,
But
that-
that's
he's
just
right in between
the
my feet.
morphology of these
Yeah.
particular types of brittle stars, which is just really interesting.
I can't believe he made all that.
And he did not make this cast. Just to clarify.
Sure, Diva. Sure.
Take him a while.
Okay,
It's like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
when you're clear, Dan.
Zooming out.
Copy.
Nice. Full wide.
So Diva and I just want to say hi to the about 3,000 people that
Nice.
are following along today.
Rocks.
Great. That's excellent. Yeah.
So hi.
Hopefully we have
stuff over
some
there, Chris.
even better biology and geology to bring to you during this dive, and we've already had some great shots. We can see a couple sponges in the view right now.
And rocks.
Yeah, and rocks. Sorry, Deb. There are 3 sponges in view right now, all stalked. Possibly the same Caulophacus we've seen previously during this dive.
Is that one of those?
Yeah, so Chris has
Caulophacus
confirmed
over
these
there.
are all Caulophacus, the genus Caulophacus,
Oh, no.
stalk sponges. Oh, 4
Yeah.
of them.
Can
Oh,
you
and there's
give us
also
another-
one with
yeah,
another
zoom
anemone
in.
on it, or Relicanthus. Nope,
Hold on here.
Relicanthus. Is this the same one?
Negative.
No.
I don't think so.
Okay, right.
It's also much. This one, the sponge is much bigger, and the Relicanthus
And the
is much
stalk
smaller.
looks a little damaged, actually.
pair
of,
And that could be from where the...
Heart.
Oh, no,
Anthropods.
it's not. Okay.
What is that?
So if we could have a zoom on this one, just because it has...
Are
There's
those-
lots of things going
those
on
amphipods?
this one
What are
little
they?
sponge. So this is a Caulophacus sponge, which is a stalk
Like
sponge.
how I said standing by before you said stand by.
On the stalk, which is now out of view, we have 2 amphipods, and this is a mating pair of amphipods just at the base. You can just see them, 2 little white things. And this is the mating pair of amphipods, which we've seen quite a bit of during this dive. And then further up the stalk, we've got another one of these incredible Relicanthus nidarians, which does look like an anemone, but is not, and has tentacles which can get up to about 8 feet long. We've seen before in the past. And you can see they're just really thin going off shot. They're that long. So a whole little community right here on this one animal.
Okay. What do you want to start with? Go from down to up?
Yeah,
Okay.
let's do that.
Come on in.
Zoom in. Holding.
Copy.
Hey, Nav.
Hey!
Stand by on.
Hey, that was an
Do you have an
exciting
idea
video
for
you guys just had.
how much the current
That,
is right
little
now,
brittle
or where?
star on that
What?
big starfish burrow. I just wanted to just comment really quickly. So the brittle star looks like
Okay, thanks.
Okeanos. I think I was actually the one who
Transition.
helped identify that for you.
On the CCZ cruise, I do remember that. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I've seen them
I think we're stable
in
here.
collections
Right, zoom
plenty
in.
of times, but I've never actually seen one alive. So this might be the first time I've ever seen one alive, much less in situ. I don't know what that sort of
Can you take that camera?
flared round
Thank you.
sort of peak is on
And
the
where do you
tip.
want to go,
But,
Dan?
but the fact
let's
that it
tilt
looks
down
like
and
that,
get both of the
in
amphipods.
situ like that is just
Come back up a little.
really exciting.
Perfect.
So I'm really glad you caught it. The star-shaped Lebensborn is caused by probably some kind of astropectinid sea star or
All right, that'll do.
something
Tilt up.
that is sort of a Paxillocidin mud star. Those can actually dig underneath the mud, and if we were to dust that area, it's entirely possible
keep coming.
that the sea star is actually still there, but underneath the sediment.
Stand here.
So you may see those again and be.
Oh, Chris, I think we may have just lost you.
That's okay. I think we got what he was trying to say.
But yeah, that you've just solved one of the mysteries that Brian and I were just
See, this
discussing.
stands
You know, we were
up
saying there's this huge trace from
Yeah.
this sea
But it
star,
doesn't
and,
walk off
and it
anywhere.
didn't walk
Yeah, I was
anywhere. So
wondering
where
that
was
too.
it?
get-
And so yeah,
We're
so
gonna get
Chris, that was
dusted
Christopher
here
Ma,
soon, Dan.
an asteroid
tilt
or
back
sea
down
star
to
expert,
the-
as well as a echinoderm expert who works at the Smithsonian Museum in Washington. And he regularly calls
nailed
in
it.
to discuss any sea
What do you
star
want,
or
Dan?
brittle star
the
or
anemone.
any echinoderm,
You guys
sightings
work
that we may
together.
have, and we're always very grateful
Right
for
there.
his
Tilt down,
incredible
stay here.
insight and
There you go.
knowledge.
That's nice.
And so, as he said, he was one of the ones that sort of identified that brittle star for us, and it was actually sort of
seconds.
folded onto itself. So, as he said, this was the
We're
first time
okay.
we've ever
It's
seen
going
it
off the
alive
south.
and open on the seafloor,
really?
and able to see that that's actually what the morphology was like, and not that wasn't a sampling artifact, because we thought it might have
Right,
been.
that'll do.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's a really exciting spot, I guess,
Zoom it out.
for
Copy.
everyone because it's beautiful, as well as especially for Chris because it's the first
Whole
time
thing,
he's seen that alive,
partial.
as well as myself.
Are they still going off the screen there to the right?
Hey, Diva, this is
can't
Chris at
see
UH.
it.
You know,
I
I'll
think
bump
it's
your grade up to an
pushing
A-
along.
if you could
Zooming
spell
in.
the name of that Ophi in the event log.
Holding.
Holding. Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
that's
you
the
can
end
see
of it.
Now,
Yeah.
see, that one she's going to do. That I believe. She's okay with that.
All right.
It's a good shot right there.
Yeah.
Thanks, Chris. Because, you know,
Actually,
she was
yes.
very, very upset by the B-.
Is that good, Dan, or you want to stay
I have to
down
say,
a
I
bit?
love the fact that you were
Base.
like, I don't think
I
I've
think
ever
that's
gotten a
fine,
B-
actually.
before.
Except in physics, which I was terrible at.
I think we all have a lot to live up to here
All right,
on
when
this
you're
cruise
clear
now.
Video.
Yep.
Take your time.
Hey, Navigator, can I see the ship on high pack?
Cool. I think that'll do.
Okay.
Zooming out.
Copy.
Full wide.
The pilot, I think the ship's up here and moving that way.
Okay.
So I think you're going to want to settle starboard.
Copy. Yeah, I wouldn't mind that either.
Just let you know.
Copy. Let's come back to center.
So
here.
for those of you who are just joining us, we are here at a mud volcano whose name I do not have up in front of me, which means I can't pronounce it. The Kunanaf-Hulo mud volcano.
We're going to do a quick
And we are just
video swap.
traversing along
Copy.
the top
Stand by.
of the mud volcano. There was a small ridge we were trying to look at. And since we have landed, we have taken a look at some of the rocks. We've seen far more interesting creatures than I think we had expected to, including an acorn worm and a relicanthus and several types of sponge, or maybe just the same sponge over and over again. And we are at a depth of about 3,675 meters, so we are pretty far down in the seafloor.
Is that a fish to the left?
No. That was a shrimp.
This
There-
is Patty. I saw something swimming to the left.
They are looking for it now.
This is Bruce. I saw that too.
I think it was a shrimp,
The pilots think it might have been a shrimp.
but we will go looking.
Yeah, it could have been.
So, Patty, are these rocks over here as we're panning, or are these pieces of sediment that are just like well cemented?
I think these are pieces of sediment that are well cemented, and in fact, I'm pretty surprised to see this sort of thing on the surface of the sea now. As I mentioned way earlier when we first described this site, the side scan backscatter that we recovered from it showed very, very high backscatter, which usually indicates a rough seafloor surface
Yeah, what
on
was
the
the
scale of about
bearing of that
10
ship move?
centimeters or so. So I am flummoxed
The ship move.
to find so much sediment on the surface and such a smooth
260.
seafloor. This is, always a mystery down here. So we're seeing things that nobody has ever seen before in
I'm
this
at
particular
215
spot
for
on the seafloor.
And what are we going?
263.
Oh, okay.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
All right, well, let me get back to center then. Why don't you come around
So
the
we
center
are
and
about a
I'll,
third of the way along our survey of this small ridge that we were trying to take a look at. I think the overall goal is not just to characterize this area, but actually to see if we can see any active venting, which all of us have our fingers crossed for.
There you go. Okay, that's better. Nothing on sonar. Yeah, if you come to look at me like that or something, definitely let me know. So I can. So we should be online. I mean, we're going so slow and it's so flat today. It doesn't really make a huge difference. But
Yeah, I figure we can stretch out quite a ways to see
yeah,
larger
sure.
surface.
Yeah. What's that out there, Roland? Some rocks?
Yeah, that's what I see. Some rocks.
So for those of you who
Small
are
ones.
looking at the sonar on the quad screen, there's a hard return in front of us, so it might just be a small set of rocks. Maybe. We'll find out.
What do you see, Washington?
No, I was just chatting about what was on the sonar.
Oh.
They look like rocks to me.
So, Deb, I wonder if you could ask the pilot or the navigator if they could zoom out on the quad screen so we could see the orientation of both the ROV and the Sirius vehicle.